Welcome to Nightmare Echoes. Listen, scream, and embrace your horror obsession. In this episode, Jesse's here to discuss the Pope's Exorcist. What is the importance of the St. Benedict Medal? How does the movie use music? And what is the plan of this demon? Next week on the podcast is Saw, but until then, a movie that might have you needing a drink to clear your throat. The Pope's Exorcist. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Nightmare Echoes. I'm your host, Elazar. I'm joined by co-host Jesse. Jesse, how's it going?
110%.
Okay. Today we're talking about The Pope's Exorcist 2023, directed by Julius Avery. It's starring Russell Crowe as Father Gabriel Amorth, who is in a million things like Gladiator, A Beautiful Mind, and also The Exorcism 2024, which I did not like as much of this movie, I'll tell you that. Which the posters are almost identical. Like, so is Russell Crowe, dressed as a priest on the cover.
That's so weird.
And The Exorcism is not a movie about a historical character who was an exorcist. It is about an actor who's struggling to play an exorcist. And it's saying that these movies both came out so close to each other, but also starring the same people.
Yeah.
Because normally these kinds of movies come out together because companies are trying to battle each other for an idea to put it out, right? Like we had Immaculate and The First Omen that came out very close together, very similar themes. But this one, both star Russell Crowe, so that blew my mind. It also stars Daniel Zavateo, I think I said that wrong, as Father Escobar. I know him from Don't Breathe, but he was also in It Follows. He was the kid across the street that had the car that took him out to the lake house. So I thought that was pretty cool. On second viewing, realizing who he was. It had a budget of $18 million and made a box office of $77 million. So there are rumors of a sequel already because they made money. The movie begins with a quote. When we jeer at the devil and tell ourselves that he does not exist, that is when he's the happiest. And it is a quote from Father Gabriel Amorth, chief exorcist of the Vatican, from 1986 to 2016.
The real person that this character is based on and written by, which...
Yeah, because he has books that he wrote about and stuff like that. Yeah. And we see Father Morth, who's riding around on a moped scooter, and we see that the date is June 4th, 1987. The setting right now is Tropea, Italy. We're outside the house where many people are standing around holding candles and are praying, and he walks up to a man who has brought a pig with him. We see another priest, Father Gianni. He brings him inside, and he gives Father Morth a rundown. He tells him that the boy is possessed. He's showing signs of possessions, and many doctors were not able to help. Father Morth asks him, what do you think the signs of possessions are? And he says, well, the boy speaks English, and he never spoke English before. Father Morth kind of, he asked without insulting the father, like, hey, do they own a TV?
Yeah.
Because the kids probably learn English from watching the TV.
Right.
Then we see Father Morth goes to speak to the boy's little sister, and he tells her job is to repeatedly pray the whole time. And they are ordered to go to another room. We see the boy, who looks like an adult to me, but they refer to him as the boy.
Yeah.
He's sweating, he's got red eyes, he's tied to the bed, and he's in fact speaking English. Father Morth tells the boy, who's claimed to be Legion, that if the boy is who he says he is, then he should be able to tell him the father's name. He then asks him to describe hell, and the boy claims that the father is mocking him. Father Morth pulls out a St. Benedict Medal, which the boy seems to fear. Amorth then tells Satan, why would he not possess someone more influential when he can possess anybody? Why the boy? He says he should have possessed a bishop, but he thinks he can't even possess this little pig that he brought in. And so he tricks the demon to go into this pig, and the moment that the pig starts squealing like crazy, the guy that brought the pig shoots his head off.
Which you think would cause the demon to just possess the boy again.
That's right.
I don't get it. But
apparently it's sending him back to hell. I guess it's Constantine rules. Because in Constantine, they send the demons back to hell.
I was not entirely clear. I don't know if I should wait until we can talk about it now. They later on challenge him about this exorcism, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he says that it wasn't real, that it was just theater to convince the kid to not play that part anymore, basically, right?
Right.
But I was never clear on whether we're supposed to believe that, because some of the stuff you just mentioned, right, does sound like this one is supposed to be a not real one, right?
Exactly.
But on the other hand... it's not as clear later on when they mention the pig and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm not sure whether that's supposed to be real or not.
Yeah, in this world, at least, we are supposed to believe that they happen, right? When we get to that meeting, which is like 2 scenes away, right? That meeting, he's sitting in front of a council with Cardinal Sullivan, who is this young guy to be in that rank.
Right.
And he has no respect for this exorcist. He seems to mock him. He says that there's many exorcists out there, but most of their cases are just referred to psychiatrists. And it looks like Father Gabriel is under the impression that Cardinal Sullivan does not believe that there's evil anymore. Cardinal Sullivan's main goal is to modernize the church to still be influential. And Father Gabriel's whole point is like, well, if you don't think evil exists anymore, why are we here? Why don't we just retire? Like,
yeah,
which is interesting. In that meeting, though, we also get to meet his friend, who is a bishop. Bishop Lumumba. Okay. And he's there to defend him in this meeting. I like his friend, right? He goes up to him when we first meet him. He goes up to him. He's studying a painting, and the main character, Amorth, asks him what he thinks that St. Michael's was thinking when he had a certain battle. The bishop says, well, that's a question for theologians.
Well, yeah, when he vanquished the devil down to hell.
Right. Yeah. Right. And he says that it's a questions for theologians. And Father Morth goes, no shit.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious.
It's a little strange, though,
in
context. But
yeah. I just thought it was funny. In this meeting, there's 5 people in front of him, and they're basically wanting him to defend what he does. Even the bishop tells him that 98% of the cases that Father Morth is given are referred to psychiatrists or doctors. Mm-hmm. And the cardinal wants to focus on those 2%. He does say that thing you're saying, that in this last case, it was a bunch of theater. It wasn't really an exorcism. And you're right. I can't tell if he is saying that to appease the cardinal or if he really believes he killed this pig just to make the kid believe.
Yeah.
You got the attention you wanted. Now, please pretend to not be.
Right. I mean, it seems like the only reason they would have brought up the TV and stuff like that, right? I mean,
yeah, was to imply that it's not real. Plus, the demon did not know the father's name. He couldn't give him the answer to the questions he thought of, which contrasts to the main story we get into.
Oh, that's true. Like maybe that was the foil to show, oh, that one wasn't real, this one is, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So then we meet Julia and her 2 kids, Amy and Henry. Henry hasn't talked in a year. Amy talks, but everything she says is condescending and like she's pissed off because she doesn't want to live there in Spain where they moved to. We found out that their father died, so they don't have an income anymore, but their father's family owned this abbey, and then it was passed down to her when their father died.
And man, the daughter, is just such a jerk.
She is a jerk.
Amazingly a jerk.
And I was shocked that when they pull up to this beautiful location.
Yeah.
There's that joke. It's a 10, but it's haunted.
Yeah, right.
But she's like, who wants to live here? And I'm thinking, I kind of want to live there.
Yeah, really, right?
Before knowing it's haunted, obviously. It's such a beautiful place.
It's gorgeous.
I was like, I mean, we could figure out a way to get Wi-Fi in there.
Yeah.
Put a satellite on the roof. Yeah, this is a beautiful place to live.
Yeah.
Why would I not want to be there? But she is just so difficult the whole time. And when they first get there, the sister's nice to the brother. She tells him to go pick out his room first. Then she'll pick out another one. They apparently pick rooms that are joined by a bathroom. That's important later. The mother, Julia, tells Amy that she can't dress so revealing when they get there because there's going to be construction men all over and she's underage and it just wouldn't be appropriate. But I feel like right off the bat, she takes off one layer. So she's wearing this tiny top and she sits up on a balcony railing, gets a cigarette from one of the construction workers and just sits up there smoking to scare the mom that she would fall off.
She just seems to be doing everything she can to piss off the mom.
Yeah.
Which one of them is possessed again? You know,
right? Exactly. One thing I didn't mention is when we first meet the family, we hear the song "She Sells Sanctuary" by the Cult, which I think is fun. I think a lot of the musical references are by bands that are named something religious.
That's funny. I wanted to mention some other things about the scenes we've already seen here. So I didn't mention it at the time you said it, but that medallion, what did you say it was? Saint
Benedict Medal.
Okay, yeah. I wasn't clear why that medal had particular power more than just a regular cross or something. Maybe I'm not familiar with the importance of St. Benedict, but it's just this thing gets used so much in the show. I was kind of curious about it.
Editor's note here. The St. Benedict medal is a Christian sacrament medal that is used by many Christian denominations. It is a symbol of protection from evil, disease, and vice. The reverse side of the medal carries the Vade Retro Santana, which translates as Begone Satan. Sometimes as a part of a rosary, it is also worn separately.
Anyway.
Yeah.
And I think his question about why not possess more powerful people, I think that's a valid question. And I think that question was on my mind when we were looking at this case as well. And I guess the answer is just location.
Yeah, I think so. That's true. But I think we'll get there eventually in this movie. It's all a plan because, yes, the boy's location, but in a little bit when they call the father, he says he wants the priest. They bring in Father Escobar, and he throws him out of the room and yells, "Wrong fucking priest," which gets the attention of the Pope, so the Pope sins over our main character, Amorth.
Right. Yeah.
And while location, yes, it's his whole plan is to try to get inside Amorth.
Sure, yeah. Just interesting that this spirit or demon or whatever was confined to that geographic location in some way.
Yeah.
And they kind of talk about it a little bit,
do.
but it does make you wonder what the rules are, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, because he could have jumped into a construction worker, but how would that construction worker have gotten the attention of...
I suppose.
Yeah.
And another issue, too, is just... I do like that they humanize the priest in this. Like, there's a lot of things of him, like, you mentioned him cursing in English for kind of no reason, but then there's also, when he arrives, as I'm sure you're about to mention, he pulls out a flask, because he's like a drunk, I guess.
Yeah. The dust. It's in my throat.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, they all seem to have vices, and they're not afraid to confess them before battling the demon throughout the movie.
I would argue they're a little afraid of it.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, sure. A couple of things happen here before they call the first priest, though. The priest is there at the Abbey when they first show up and when they talk to the head construction worker, Carlos. The construction's going on. We see Amy brushing her teeth, and she hears knocking on the walls all the time, but at this point, I'm assuming it's the construction workers just banging on the walls. But we get that classic shave and haircut 2 bits, right? They do the first part of it, and then she finishes the knock, which keeps coming back throughout this whole movie. Like the demon keeps wanting her to finish that knock. She did it one time.
Yeah.
We have this fake scare where, like horror movies do, you have someone looking in the cabinet for medicine. They close the mirror behind them. They reveal in the camera where the person would have seen, but the camera didn't.
Yeah.
Which is always silly. We see this demonic outline of a person. When she opens the door, she sees that it's Henry, who's playing around with a freaky looking mask on. And I was like, I thought the movie was like, oh, the devil's here. But it's just this mask that never comes back again.
Yeah.
And then the construction workers end up going down. They knock a piece of the wall down, which reveals this natural gas deposit. And they make a spark happen, and an explosion happens. The ambulance comes. The guy's on fire. They take him away. And then Carlos, the head construction guy, tells them that we can't be here anymore because we found natural gas and we can't work on this property.
Which is not what you want to hear in the situation where you've gambled your whole life on this one project.
In that scene, there's a little bit of music, Gone Daddy Gone by the Violent Femmes, and then we got We Care a Lot by Faith No More, which I thought was a good one. As they're pulling the guy away in the ambulance, at the same time, Amy is going to check on Henry, and she finds that his body's shaking in this unnatural way. She screams for Mom, and when their mom gets there, Henry says Mommy for the first time because he isn't talking for a year. Then he sits up with this like kind of superhero sit up, which I think is awesome. And then he says, "You're all going to die," which I don't think is awesome. Yeah. And then he claws his face, which I was like, ow.
Yeah, that reminded me of some scenes in some other movies.
Yeah.
The first thing it made me think of actually was a TV series that I actually really enjoyed. And I'm not going to remember the name of that series, which is too bad.
That's okay.
It was a lot of fun. But there was probably the most intense scene in that entire series was someone who just starts clawing their face off. It's always a dramatic thing when someone starts doing that.
So then we have Henry getting an MRI, and the doctor has a translator to tells Julia that there's nothing that they, under the medical practice, can find that is wrong with Henry, but they recommend a psychiatrist. He also gives her a tranquilizer shot if she needs to calm him down. And then back at the Abbey, we have a scene where Amy's using a flashlight to go around. Julia's trying to tell Henry that everything's going to be okay. And she's hugging him, but she can't tell that his face looks really evil already. Then he starts grabbing her breast, and she's like, "What are you doing?" He says something like, "Baby's hungry now, you cow," or something like that. And then he gets mad because he was never breastfed as a kid. And she's like, WTF this whole time. And then he lifts up his shirt to see that the word hate has been carved in there. And this is where he says, "Bring me the priest."
You know, these demons, they have such a sense of humor.
It's interesting because that's a big part of this movie.
Yeah, I know. They say exactly the opposite. Yeah.
Right. They say that the devil doesn't like humor, and apparently in the books that I've obviously not taken the time to read, Father Amorth said that while the devil loves irony, he hates humor.
I see.
So we cut to Father Esquivel, who's about to enter Henry's room. He walks in and he's immediately thrown out, and demonic Henry yells, "Wrong fucking priest."
Yeah.
So then we get Father Amorth is now with the Pope. In that meeting earlier, he had said that he answers to the Pope. He's his local bishop. So if they have a problem with him, they need to talk to the Pope. The cardinal tries to say that the Pope is sick and can't be bothered.
That's why the movie is called The Pope's Exorcist.
Yes, exactly. He goes basically over Sullivan's head and just goes to talk to the Pope on his own. The Pope does comment that they've seen evil, and so they know that evil's real, where Cardinal Sullivan, it's just an idea. He's never seen it, really. So he tells him that there's a new case he's heard about. It's really troubling him, and he wants him to go seek it out and see if there's anything really that they should be worried about. And then he warns Amorth about his pride, letting him know that that could get in the way. And Amorth's like, "Me? Prideful? What?"
Yeah.
Which is funny. We see the Pope in the library looking through this file. It looks like mostly redacted stuff. At the very end of the file, there's one quote there that translates into, "Our sins will seek us out."
Yeah.
This time when he's on the moped, the music isn't like some cool punk or other music. It's now this serious tone. And I don't know if it was trying to tell us that the movie's going to be pretty serious from here on out.
Yeah.
But although there are a couple other cool tunes that happen later. When he walks in the grounds, before going inside, he walks around to investigate a little bit. He sees something that he thinks is interesting. Then Father Esquivel comes around the corner speaking Spanish. He kind of giggles to himself because he speaks in Italian, but they end up both speaking English because they can understand each other better that way.
Yeah.
This is where he offers Father Esquivel some whiskey, and Father Esquivel is like, "Oh, no, I'm good."
Yeah.
And this is where he's like, "Oh, yeah, it's the dust. It's in my lungs." And it looks like he takes a massive swig of it before going in. Father Esquivel is a big fan. He's read a lot of his articles, but never any of the books. And Father Morris is like, "What, the books are good."
Which, I mean, the movie's based on one of the books. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
So he goes inside. Father Esquivel introduces him to Julia and says that they're really fortunate because the church has shown interest and they brought Father Amorth, who is a very important person. And he says that he wants to meet their son. Julia says she doesn't really believe in any of this stuff. And he says, "Well, why don't you just let me meet Henry, tell you my opinion, and then you can decide from there." So he goes up. When he gets into Henry's room, Henry's sleeping. He opens this kit and he gets that medal out. He sits next to the bed and starts to pray, which wakes up Henry, who says his prayers are worthless. Amorth pulls out this St. Benedict Medal. Henry lets out this small growl and his eyes turn into fire. Amorth asks him who he is, and he says he is his worst fear, which is demise. Amorth then asks why possess a boy, and he says that it feels so good to ruin innocent flesh.
It's like he's given all the right answers.
Yeah. Although he says he prefers the challenge of an exorcist soul. Amorth asks him why he's there, and he sees he's there for him, and he means Amorth, but he hasn't said his name yet. Amorth says he must know his name. Demise says he knows every sin, and Amorth tells the demon to tell him one of his sins, and after waiting a bit states that he cannot because his sins have been absolved. Demise doesn't like that he said the name Jesus Christ out loud. When Amorth asks him if he's afraid of Christ, Demise replies that God isn't here. Amorth tells the demon that whatever he does because God allows it, and then a crucifix falls off the wall, and Demise laughs, asking if God allowed that to happen. Demise says that he's not afraid, and Amorth asks if he isn't afraid, he would tell him his name. And Demise says that he isn't some stupid fuck that you can convince to get into a pig.
Yeah.
And so Amorth already knows, okay, something's different about this person.
Right.
Amorth says, "You will not tell me your name," and Demise replies that his name is blasphemy. And then he says his name is Nightmare. And I was like, hey, we're Nightmare as well.
Yeah. He's got a lot of names.
Right, I know.
Confusing. You should just pick one instead.
I know, right? So Amorth tells Demise Blasphemy Nightmare that his nightmare is France winning the World Cup. And Demise Blasphemy Nightmare calls him a prideful fool,
He should really just say, "So I guess I'll call you France winning the World Cup from now on."
Exactly. So he calls him a prideful fool, and he can't hide behind his jokes forever. And then he calls him by his name, Gabriele. And then he adds that he knows his nightmares too. Then Amorth has a vivid memory of when he was younger in a war and his fellow soldiers are all being gunned down. He then says, "Show yourself, coward," and we see a vivid memory of the enemy soldier saying the same words to Amorth as he played dead on the ground. Then the demon starts acting like he is choking up a hairball, but this massive lump comes out of his throat, and we see a dead, bloody bird fall to the bed. As Amorth backs away, the demon tells him to be aware because his sins will seek him out. Outside the room, Amorth asks Esquivel if he mentioned his name to anyone in the house, which he says maybe, and Amorth says that the demon knows things that he could not. And then he asks Esquivel what he knows about demons, and he says only the basics. Amorth says that this is a higher level demon because of his knowledge, and Esquivel asks why he would choose the boy, and Amorth says he doesn't know, but he'd like to speak more to Julia, the mother. Amorth tells Julia about the demon and says that Henry is not allowed to leave this place because it could be fatal. He also tells her that the only way to get her son back was through faith. Amorth asks if anything happened to Henry, and Julia tells him about the car accident where he watched his father get killed, and we do see a quick flash of his father in the car with something like through his head.
Yeah.
Amorth gives her his word that he will not abandon her or her son, and that trauma like that could be a gateway for the devil, making the innocent more vulnerable.
The usual trope. Yeah.
Yeah. And so she says that she loved her husband so much, and she now loves her children. He says that the mother's love is the closest things to God's love, and that will be important in this task that we have going on. He asked her if she ever believed, and she said when she was little, she should believe her guardian angel would walk her to school, and he tells her that she should pray to that guardian angel. We cut to Amy's bedroom, who's listening to I'm Stranded by the Saints, which that was fun. She hears knocking all over the walls and the bathroom that connects their rooms. She runs to the bathroom, hears more knocking, and then she backs into Henry's room. He's awake, and it's obviously the demon. The demon tells Amy that Henry is in hell, and she runs back into her room, shutting the door. Then the phone rings. She picks it up, and it's her daddy's voice, who tells her that you're all going to die. She screams, throws the phone down, and runs to her mother, who's with Amorth, telling her what happened. Julie asks what they're going to do. He tells them they should get some sleep, but Amorth asks if he can get some coffee because demons are more powerful at night, but they can get some rest while he works with the demon.
Something about this movie, I never felt like it was all that scary. They have the demon doing stuff, but none of it is all that threatening to me as a viewer, I guess.
Yeah. I would say most possession movies, or a lot of them, people don't really die, do they? Am I misthinking that? I know a lot of ghost movies people don't. Maybe they do. Maybe I'm wrong on this.
Well, I think you could make a possession movie scary.
Yeah.
But I just feel like
this one is not.
It's not that scary.
It felt more like an adventure.
Yeah, it didn't feel like they set up... I mean, okay, they set up stakes for things, but it's not like... They didn't set it up in a way that made me really afraid for the characters. You know?
Yeah, and I think the Amorth's amount of humor that he displays through the whole thing kept it light.
Yeah, that disarms it a little.
And yeah, it feels like an adventure movie at the end.
Yeah.
So Amorth asks Esquivel to confess his sins, and Esquivel's like, now? He explains that the demon can smell your sins and your sins must be absolved. But then when Esquivel starts, he says that it's been 8 months since his last confession. And then Amorth's like, okay, we don't have time for this.
Yeah.
Are you sorry for your sins? And he says, yes. But he doesn't go through the regular thing, which seems to kind of bite them later.
Yeah, it doesn't really work.
Yeah. Amorth asks him what prayers he knows, and he says that if he has to say it under pressure, Hail Mary is going to be the best one, but he would need to do it in Spanish. Amorth tells him his only job is to pray, not to engage with the demon, no matter what he does. And Amorth asks him if he knows any good jokes, but he says he does not. And he tells him he should learn something because the devil hates jokes.
Although I don't think he ever does.
No, I don't think so. He learns some Latin prayers.
Yeah. But not Latin jokes.
Right, exactly.
maybe Latin jokes are more powerful.
In the room, Amorth is lighting a thuribel. It's this little metal ball suspended by chains that lets incense out and smokes that they use during ceremonies.
I always just call those incense or censers or something.
Okay, well, the thing, I Googled what it is, and it's a thuribel.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, I didn't until I did the research. So the demon calls Amorth Gabe by his first name. He says that his friend looks scared and that Gabe ran out last time because he's a coward, which is not worthy of a chief exorcist. Amorth asks if he would like to be vanquished by Jesus or his mother, and the demon says some rude things about Jesus' mother before saying for Amorth to go F himself, I think.
You know, I'm starting to get the feeling that this demon is not very nice.
Yeah, right? Rude. So Amorth tells Esquivel to start praying, and Esquivel has trouble focusing. When the lights go off, neither of them are praying. He tells stuff about Esquivel that he calls him a panty sniffer. He tells him he slept with women of the congregation and he stood above everybody like he was better than them all. And then we have a vision of Rosaria. Rosaria is the vision for Morth, because that is the woman who, during that trial scene earlier that he brings up, that is a woman that he believed was not possessed, but he didn't save. And after he didn't save her, it kind of haunts him. So we have a vision, her in the room. The demon says that while God forgave him for his sins, he has not forgiven himself. And he says that Rosaria's soul rots in hell. Then the demon turns to Esquivel, talks about his sin, and he calls this woman a whore. Her name is Adele. This is where Esquivel tries to go strangle Henry. Amorth has to pull him off. And then they both leave the room, and Amorth is grabbing his kit when the demon tells him that he took the bait and he will now be destroyed. Then we cut to the Pope, who's looking through the same documents that Amorth was looking through earlier, seeing that everything was redacted.
Wasn't very well redacted.
It's not, right?
It's lightly scribbled out. Like, you can still read it.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, like...
Maybe they're just not good at reading cursive. What is this foreign language? So then we come back to Esquivel, who looks like he wants to cry, but he isn't crying. He tells Amorth the story about how he fell in love with a woman. She wanted him to leave the priesthood. He told her everything she wanted to hear, but never really had any intentions of leaving the church. Amorth asks him if he's sorry for what he did, and he says yes, and then they finally go through the whole confession thing that they should have did to begin with. Morth says that the boy doesn't have much time and gives Esquivel a prayer in Latin, which is close to Spanish, so he shouldn't have too much trouble learning it. And he said it's more powerful if it's in Latin. Morth tells Esquivel that the demon says that Morth has taken the bait and he wants to see something that they saw earlier outside in the Abbey. So out there, we see the seal of the Vatican. We see the inside, Julia is sleeping, and a crucifix above her head is turned upside down, kind of like in The Conjuring 2, where all the crosses in the whole movie get turned upside down.
Yeah.
Esquivel's worried that Henry is alone, so Esquivel is waiting outside, but then he goes inside, sits next to him, and the demon jumps up and bites part of his ear off, and he says no one's getting out of here alive. We see Amy under her covers when an invisible force pulls her from the bed.
I guess this is the same demon that at some point possessed Mike Tyson.
Oh, yeah, that's what it said. I wouldn't tell him to his face.
Neither would I.
There is a great video, and this is a total tangent, where this guy's interviewing people. He's like, who's the greatest athlete of all time? And some people are like, oh, Muhammad Ali, Michael Jordan. And they're going through people. Mm-hmm. And then he always asks them, what do you think about Mike Tyson? And people are like...
Oh, I have seen this.
Yeah, it's great. It's like, I mean, he's okay and all. And then Mike Tyson comes from behind him. And the smartest person there's two women being interviewed. And he goes, what about Mike Tyson? She goes, is he here? Turns around and goes, he's wonderful. I love Mike Tyson. Like, it was hilarious. Like, oh no. Yeah, of the top people I never talk crap about. Really. All right, that's too funny.
The hunger only ears could satisfy.
Yeah. So Amy is getting thrown into the wall by this invisible force. She goes into the closet and stuff starts going crazy in the closet. And the knocking pattern keeps happening, like if it wants her to finish it. Julie's asleep when she notices there's another arm. She's got two. There's a third one holding her chest again. Right? And it starts pulling her down into the bed, kind of like a Nightmare on Elm Street 4 Dream Masters, although that one was a waterbed and the scene was more sexy.
This is a weird scene.
It is a weird scene. She's getting, where it's getting pulled in the middle.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
And whose arm is it? I mean, who knows?
I don't know. The director was like, it's got to be mine.
Yeah, right.
It needs to be my arm here. No, I'm just kidding. Amorth finds a well, and at first glance, it looks like there's a rim of human heads. I'm not sure. I didn't see it on the second glance. He then lights a cloth.
Skulls.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, skulls.
He then lights a cloth on fire, sends it down the well, and when it hits the bottom, it hits another pocket of natural gas, which ignites and flames go up to the well.
Can I just say,
yeah, of course.
like, forget about restoring the stupid building. She should just get a natural gas company to come out there. She's going to make a fortune.
Yeah, because it won't stop, right?
I mean, there's so much gas. Gas is worth money.
Yeah.
Especially in Europe.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays.
Yeah. Well, that is one angle to take it. Does it stick around after the demon's gone? I'm not sure. Like, if it was like a defense for the demon. Oh,
man, yeah. If it doesn't, then they need to keep that demon there.
Oh, my gosh. Never mind. Right. So, Esquivel's hobbling back out of the room when Amorth re-enters. Amorth runs to help Julia and pull her out of the bed, which he seems to do pretty easily. Esquivel goes to help Amy, but he's barely banging against the door. Amorth has to come over and kick the door down like a boss. Inside, the contents of the closet are flying everywhere. Amorth commands the entity to let go of her, which it eventually does. He pulls her out, and then both priests go in to bless the closet, and Esquivel notices that something has scratched all the walls, but apparently that was Amy, and one of her fingernails is broken off in the wall in the attempt to escape. Amorth tells Esquivel to take them all to the chapel, and then we see in the files with the Pope the same line that Amorth saw before, which was, "Our sins will seek us out." Amorth then tells Esquivel that they don't get to stay pretty for too long in this job, and Esquivel doesn't want to hear it. He's like, don't even right now. He tries to tell him the story about this demon that tried to put a crucifix through his eye, but he doesn't want to hear about that either. And then Amorth asks him why he thinks the demon is doing this, and Esquivel thinks he just wants to scare them. Amorth says that it's all distraction, so they don't know what he's planning. And he says, if you don't believe me, this is my friend. And he throws one of the human heads, and Esquivel catches it like, which I thought was funny.
Disrespectful for a priest to be throwing around a human skull, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. What about respect for the dead?
Yeah. He's a little too comical, maybe. And then outside, Amorth takes Esquivel and shows him the seal of the Spanish Inquisition. And I put that nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah, that's true. Nobody expected that.
Right. Amorth says it's the darkest part of the church's history, and that the dead are people that would not convert, and adds that something is hidden underground here. So they go to explore the underground part of the abbey, and Amorth starts to break down a part of the wall to reveal the Vatican seal. Amorth sniffs, and Esquivel asks if he smells gas, and Amorth says a little bit of gas, a little sulfur, a little death, so no smoking. And then he proceeds to break down more of the wall, which seems to wake up Henry.
Is death flammable too?
I don't know,
Okay,
but
maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, cigarettes can aggravate death, I suppose.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Inside the old room, they discover catacombs, and they see the remains of a man sitting in a cage in the middle of the room. The cage is kind of suspended in air. It's just big enough for one human.
Yeah, it's a gibbet, I think, is what they call those or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
We see the Pope, who finds a small note hidden in the book with a wax seal in place that was inside that redacted record.
This room is very cool. Let's take a second here.
Yeah, sure.
This is an awesome room. Like, this room is like peak set design here.
Yeah.
It is awesome looking.
I do like it, yeah. It's very dark. It's got some cool windows.
It's very epic.
Yeah.
The whole room, the whole thing. And even more so the room they get to next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, once they clear this demon out, that's like prime party space. Like, set up a pool table down there. Yeah. It'd be great.
I mean, I would think that with the demon, it would probably be better parties, right?
Oh,
I mean, I'm sure demons throw great parties.
Reference Talk to Me. Really.
Yeah, exactly.
So Esquivel doesn't understand why they would leave someone, and Amorth says that the man in the cage is wearing the ring of the Cardinal Protector. He goes on to explain that while it looks like the man is in prison, he is in there to protect himself. It is what they do when an exorcism has failed, and they need to trap the demon in and make sure whatever happens, it stays hidden. We see the Pope open that note, which reveals that the Cardinal Protector wrote the note saying that they had failed and that what they found must stay hidden through all time. Amorth asks Esquivel to try the gate, and when he says he can't, Amorth figures that the Cardinal Protector must have the key, and he figures that it must be in his stomach. So he puts his hand through his stomach, does some choking on the smell that must come out of there, and then he pulls out the key. He hands it to Esquivel, who's not excited to touch it.
Yeah.
Right. And what I love is with the other hand, he's wiping it off on Esquivel's priest robes or like his clothes.
God.
And Esquivel's not happy about that. Like, really? I thought it was hilarious. So the Pope continues to read that the devil owns the grounds and that the Cardinal Protector had never seen a demon that powerful before. This seems to give the Pope a heart attack, and when someone runs to check, he is calling for Gabriele, and we see an ambulance driving through the city. The key works for the next area. It is now daytime, and Julia wakes up to find that Amy is gone. Esquivel starts choking on the gas. Amorth says that they are getting closer to hell.
Both literally and figuratively.
Right. The Pope is now in a hospital bed, and Bishop Lumumba and Cardinal Sullivan are there to check up on him, although the Cardinal looks like he's really bothered to be there. The Pope tells them that he needs to send a message to Gabriele, and the Cardinal jumps in saying to Amorth, what mess has he gotten us into this time? But when he is basically yelling the question at the Pope turns to him and then starts to spew blood all over the cardinal, which made me smile. I was like, yes!
This whole sequence of scenes, like, to me, this is kind of the peak of the movie aesthetically. Like,
yeah.
The thing with the Pope, although it doesn't make all that much sense.
Right.
And the thing with these cool underground rooms and architecture. Really neat stuff.
And then Amorth finds the remains of the Friar de Ojeda, one of the greatest exorcists of all times. Amorth finds his journal, which had the symbol of the Spanish Inquisition, and it tells of a possessed monk in 1945 who inhabited multiple people at the same time. Esquivel thinks it's exciting to hear about a demon so powerful. He just looks so excited, like, ooh. And I'm like, what? Like,
oh, boy.
Right? He reads on to find out that the person responsible for convincing the queen to have an inquisition was himself possessed, implying the darkest moment in church's past was because of a man being possessed. Moore says the Vatican had to have known this, and it was all a cover-up to protect the church.
Not a surprise that a Catholic cardinal is writing a retcon for the entire Spanish Inquisition.
That's what I thought. I was like, it's kind of convenient, kind of not. Yeah. Like, what?
But that said, what they're saying here, the greatest exorcist in history failed to exorcise this demon and, in fact, was taken himself, right?
Right.
It's a really good device, I think, in terms of setting up, okay, this is like a big challenge, right? You're going to try to exorcise a demon that the greatest exorcist ever failed to get rid of. Like, it makes you feel like they've already set up the stakes being high. Now they're setting up, well, even more than that. It's like, it's super hard.
Yes. We see Julia walking around looking for Amy. She has a syringe of the sedative hidden behind her. She finds Amy sitting in bed with Henry, and they're both laughing. She asks for Amy to come with her, and now the demon is speaking through both of her children at the same time. We see Amorth quoting the Bible, and Esquivel finishes the quote saying that it's from Revelations, and that from this quote they gather there are 200 places on earth which demons have claimed for evil, and they think that this abbey is one of these places.
Like unholy ground.
Right, yeah. Julia takes Amy, but the demon, using this invisible force, slams her against the mirror, lifting her up in the air by the throat. Amy seems to snap out of it and screams, and the demon lifts her up by the throat as well, and they both fight for air.
Must be the demon of sloth using the... Sorry.
Okay.
It's a ReZero reference.
Okay. He tells Mommy to watch him as he twists Amy's head around further than it's supposed to go. Then Amorth finds the name of the demon, which is Asmodeus.
Asmodeus, yeah. So I thought it was interesting that they have Asmodeus be the demon here. If you look it up, Asmodeus is supposed to be the king of lust. And lust happens to be the sin that Tomas is guilty of. So I think that's kind of... I don't know if that's intentional or not, but
yeah,
it would be very fitting.
Right. I also read he was supposed to be one of the 5 generals of Satan.
Well, he was a very famous demon, yeah.
Okay, all right. When he reads the name of the demon out loud, a lot of things happen. All the stained glass windows around the abbey start to break. The Pope seems to have a cardiac arrest. And the demon weakens for a moment, which lets Amy and their mother kind of fall to the ground. Like he releases hold of them. Esquivel remembers that the demon's first words were, "Bring me the priest," and he figures out that he wanted a Morth. And I'm like, I thought we already covered this when he threw you out the room and said, "Wrong fucking priest."
Yeah.
But I guess Esquivel was a little slow on this one.
Apparently.
Amorth adds that since he once used a priest to infiltrate the church, he wants to do that again through Amorth himself. Amorth tells Esquivel to hear his confession, and the Amorth goes through the events in 1942 where his friend died in a war, and he says it's heroic to die in a war, but to survive a war is much more complex. He said that's why he joined the church, because he felt he was saved for a purpose. And then he goes on to talk about his failure with Rosaria, who was possessed, but he didn't believe her. He says that she wasn't possessed, she was mentally disturbed, and he let someone else deal with the case because of his pride. He's an exorcist, he's not a therapist. Then we cut to her jumping to her death, and afterwards he says that rumors of sexual abuse came out, so he thinks he could have done more to save her life. So after confession is over, they're preparing for the next battle. Everybody is in the room, both priests and then Julia and Amy. Amorth gives Esquivel the miraculous medal. Holy fire insurance, very powerful, is what he says. He prays over Julia and Amy, and then the lights flicker and we hear some loud screeching. And he warns them not to believe everything they see and hear. Inside, he starts saying the same things about Esquivel, and Amorth tells everybody to pray. The demon says that no amount of prayer will work and that he knows what he wants. The demon says that Amorth shouldn't have confessed to his god, but instead Rosaria, and we see her floating upside in the bed, eating a red bird, or maybe a bloody bird.
Well, a cardinal, I think.
Okay.
There's a bunch of cardinals in this movie in situations where I would normally think you would see a bat or something.
Okay.
And I'm sure that's deliberate. Like, I'm sure they're referencing the cardinals of the church, right?
Right. Okay. Then when Esquivel goes to comfort Julia, he's showed a woman on the bed who is naked and asking him to fuck her, which is his woman that he was with before. He says that she isn't real. The battle continues for a while, Amorth saying the demon's name. The battle goes on for so long, and he thinks the only way to move forward is to let the demon possess him so that everyone else can escape.
It seems like a bad strategy.
Yeah, right? So I didn't see that plot coming at all. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Esquivel asks him what he's done, and Henry or Amy are back to normal. Amorth instructs Esquivel to take his cross, which seems stuck in his hands. He pulls it out, and then he leads the family out of the abbey, and then they exit the movie. We have a scene where Cardinal Sullivan is standing where the Pope always sits in that chapel, and he starts to hear voices calling his name, and he sees Jesus on the cross start to bleed, and the voices get louder, and so Cardinal Sullivan starts screaming.
I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean.
I think the movie wanted us to make him see real evil before the events were over, which is why I think when we hear about him again, he's taking a sabbatical.
Okay.
Because he doesn't know how to comprehend this information. So Amorth is fighting for his body, but he seems to be losing. He makes his way down to where the friar was. He tries to light his lighter to just blow them up, and he's saying he damns them both to hell, but the spark won't ignite on the lighter. Then we see an image of the Virgin Mary float up before it turns demonic. Then Esquivel finds Amorth now sitting on the chair where the friar sat, holding the friar's staff. The demon tells him to move along, but Esquivel talks to Amorth, telling him to fight it, which seems to have some effect. Esquivel starts to pray and tells Amorth to pray with him. Amorth starts floating into the air and does start to pray with him. Then the demon knocks them both down, and then he brings both of the women of their past sins to attack them. Adele trying to drown Esquivel, and Rosaria attacking Amorth. Eventually, through prayer, they are able to defeat the demon, and when Esquivel asks Amorth if he's okay, he says he's not too bad, but tells Esquivel that he looks like shit, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
Amorth is happy that Esquivel learned the Latin, and he says, it's close to Spanish. It wasn't too hard. This time when Amorth offers him some alcohol, he definitely takes a drink of it.
Yeah.
Which I thought was funny.
He must have gotten some dust, too, while they were down there.
That must be it. So then we see Amorth going to visit the Pope again, who is back on his feet, and he introduces him to Esquivel. The Pope tells him that they need a full report. Amorth says why, so Cardinal Sullivan can tell him that it's all in his imagination again. And he says that, you didn't hear, the Cardinal took a sabbatical to the Isle of Guam. And Father Amorth says he will pray for Guam.
Which is a good line.
Yeah. And then the Pope reveals that he's appointed Bishop Lumumba to the head of that panel, which is great because he's one of Amorth's friends.
Right.
And then we cut to the bishop leading them through an area that looks like it's run by MI6, where it holds all the church's relics and ancient artifacts and secret information. He tells them that they bought the abbey back from Julia, and they have reconsecrated the grounds, and that Henry's made it a full recovery. He then reveals that the Friar's Journal is slowly revealing the 199 locations where God is now welcome. And this completely reminded me of SG-1's pilot.
Yes.
Where they're like, the computer should spit out a new location about every week or so. Yeah. Enough for a new episode per week to come out.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious.
It is.
So there's 199 movies coming up? I don't know.
I mean, they clearly wanted to set up at least some.
Yes.
Especially with the last thing that it says on the screen, right? Father Gabriel wrote a whole bunch of books about his mission and everything and says the books are good.
Which is funny.
Which, of course, they want to say that because they want you to watch the movie based on the next book.
Right, of course. One other thing that happens before the end is that Father Amorth says that 199 places is more than a lifetime's work for one priest, but then looks at Father Esquivel saying 2 priests, though, and it looks like he's got his sidekick to join him in fighting this battle, which could be fun for future movies.
Yeah. I do want to bring up something, but I've brought this up before with regards to MASH, that I liked the show MASH, but the fact that it was written by Hawkeye and portrays him as like the best person in the world always made me suspicious. And in fact, it turns out later there's a rebuttal written by the real Frank Burns, right?
Yeah.
Called Hawk, which is very much paints Hawkeye as just this horrible bully who was very narcissistic and full of himself, right? And
Sure.
and I have the same issues with this. So when I think about this movie and the way it's talking about, I mean, it's written by the guy who is its main hero. In this story, he praises himself almost obsequiously, right? Like, he's such a hero. He's so good at everything. He has no real vices, right? The only quote-unquote sin that he had to deal with was the fact that one time he failed through no fault of his own to see this. Like, there's no genuine faults. He's way too good, and it's just a very unhumble self-portrayal.
Okay, so I'm definitely going to tell you that the argument itself is not something that I don't like, because I've heard it in regards to the Conjuring universe.
Yeah.
Because Ed and Lorraine Lauren are the exorcists that went around the country here in America that were a part of Amityville Horror and all these other like known exorcist cases. I say it in quotes for those listening. They wrote their own books.
Yeah.
And in fact, one of them is on the panel every time a movie is made. She's sitting there on the set making sure they're portrayed in a good light.
Yeah, I see.
So I enjoy the Conjuring movies that are extremely loosely based on what they say are real events.
Right.
It doesn't mean I like the real people in life that may or may not have been lying about what they have done.
Sure.
But for movie's sake, it's a fun movie.
I agree. I just wanted to point out, like, every time I see that, I suspect the guy is probably kind of a douche, right? Like, he's probably arrogant if he's writing about himself in such an unhumble way. Like, but I
Yes,
don't know.
I get you. As I like to joke all the time, I'm the best at humble. I got an award for it once.
You got an award for what?
Like humility.
Really?
So at Taekwondo, they asked all the kids to name the number one word that represents all of your instructors. And enough people voted me as humble. And I was shocked by this.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't seem like me.
No.
But I went around with this award telling all the parents, I told you guys, most humble guy here.
I'm the most humble guy around.
Right? And
I'm number one.
one mother's like, I don't think that word means what you think it means, which is a great quote to the Princess Bride. But that was even my wife Jess said that's going to go right to my head, and it did.
Yeah,
it did.
It's so
I was like,
funny.
Hey, everybody see my humble award? It's shiny. It's right next to my Caregiver of the Year award.
You got to put it in like the humility award has to be in like the most grandiose frame, right?
It came as a frame already.
You got to put another frame around it.
Yeah, right. It's
Some
next to
lights.
my president signed Lifetime Achievement Award for volunteerism there, guys. Oh.
Yeah, but so one of the reasons I bring this up is like it made me want to look more into the real Father Gabriel, and I just found this quote, which is just about the funniest thing that I've ever read. Not intentionally, I'm sure.
Sure.
But there's a quote from Father Gabriel where he says, "Practicing yoga is satanic. It leads to evil, just like reading Harry Potter."
Oh, my. Okay. All right. I did read a quote online that says that he would not have approved of this movie.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't him, though, because it came out after him. It was someone that knew him saying that he doesn't believe that the real person would have approved of this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hear your argument, and I totally think it's a valid one. I, though, look at it as a fun time. Like, I can disconnect. I can, just the same way that I can disconnect an actor from his property.
Sure.
Right? Like, if someone has done something 20 years after a movie's come out that makes people go, oh my gosh, I hate this guy.
Separate the art from the artist.
Yeah, I still love the art. Yeah, so totally.
I agree.
All right. Well, thanks for talking to me about it. I had a fun time.
Yeah, thanks for pointing me to it. I probably wouldn't have seen the movie otherwise.
Right. So, I don't think we're going to be covering The Exorcism. I just didn't like it as much. But maybe we'll watch it one day, just so you'll see how bad it is.
All right. Well,
okay.
I cast us out of this podcast in the name of the Jesse and the Elazar and everybody.
Yeah. All right. Thank you all for listening. We have new episodes every Monday, and we hope you get to listen to us again. Bye.
Oh, yeah. Goodbye.
Jesse, how's it going?
110%.
Oh, man, your math is bad.
Oh, maybe you're right. Oh, you're right. It was actually 10%.
Oh, no, that's even worse. I like the first one better.
Oh, no, maybe it was 90.
Okay. All right.